To manage multi-year processes, like childhood growth, puberty, and baseline metabolism, complex organisms require an internal communication network capable of sustained, long-term signaling. The nervous system is built for instant reactions, like pulling your hand away from a hot stove. However, it cannot effectively manage those multi-year developmental processes. Look at this comparison. On the left, the nervous system fires rapid point-to-point electrical impulses along nerve fibers. On the right, the body utilizes a slower mechanism, releasing chemical particles that diffuse broadly into a flowing bloodstream. This process on the right is chemical coordination. The body uses these specific chemical messengers, known as hormones, to regulate systemic processes over long periods. These hormones are produced by endocrine glands. A defining feature of an endocrine gland is that it is ductless. Instead of routing its secretions through a dedicated tube, it broadcasts its chemical signals directly into the blood. Once in the bloodstream, these hormones travel passively throughout the entire circulatory system until they reach their specific destination, known as the target organ. Target organs are equipped with specialized receptors. They filter out the rest of the chemical noise circulating in the blood and only activate when the precisely matching hormone arrives. Because this network uses the bloodstream as its primary distribution channel, the accuracy of its messaging depends on the chemical environment of the blood itself. Because the human body produces a wide variety of chemical secretions, it is common to assume they all serve this same coordinating function. This table illustrates the fundamental division in biological function. We have hormones on the left, which dictate systemic instructions, and enzymes on the right, which execute local chemical reactions. Focusing on the left column, a hormone is strictly a long-distance chemical messenger produced exclusively by ductless endocrine glands. Moving to the right column, enzymes are strictly biological catalysts. Their sole purpose is to speed up chemical reactions. While hormones are manufactured by centralized glands, enzymes are produced by various living cells scattered throughout the entire body. And importantly, enzymes act locally right where they are produced, like inside the gut during digestion. They never utilize the bloodstream as a transport highway. Understanding this distinction is key to physiology. Hormones are the broadcast commanders of the system, while enzymes are the localized cellular workforce. To understand how this broadcast system operates, we have to map the primary nodes that make up the human endocrine network. Starting at the base of the brain, we find the pituitary gland. This node releases a cascade of growth hormones into the body. It is designated as the master gland because its specific secretions control the activation and output of all the other endocrine glands in the network. Panning down to the neck reveals the butterfly-shaped thyroid gland. This gland releases particles of a hormone called thyroxine into the adjacent blood vessels. Thyroxine performs a crucial function. It controls the body's overall metabolic rate. Metabolism is the sum total of all chemical reactions occurring in the body, requiring a constant, systemic level of control from the thyroid to keep the organism functioning at the correct speed. Moving further down, situated directly above the kidneys, are the adrenal glands. Under stress, they release a sudden, rapid burst of adrenaline into the local capillaries. This adrenaline flood specifically prepares the body for emergency fight-or-flight responses, temporarily overriding those slower baseline metabolic processes we just discussed. Finally, in the central abdomen, we locate the pancreas.
Here, we see a steady, regulated release of insulin into the bloodstream. Insulin has a very precise role. It lowers and regulates blood sugar levels by signaling target cells to absorb circulating glucose. The pancreas acts as a continuous blood monitor, dynamically adjusting its insulin output based on real-time dietary intake. This highly networked biological machinery relies on every node functioning flawlessly. When a single gland fails to produce its chemical messenger, the entire systemic balance breaks down into disease. The endocrine network is highly sensitive to environmental and nutritional deficits. Geography itself can dictate the health of the system. Look at the high-altitude mountainous regions of Uganda. The local geography here is uniquely linked to a specific glandular failure. The soil in these environments naturally lacks iodine. This is a severe problem because iodine is an essential trace mineral required by the thyroid to synthesize thyroxine. Here is what happens at the cellular level. Without iodine, thyroxine production halts entirely.
The thyroid gland then enlarges aggressively in a futile attempt to capture more minerals from the blood, resulting in the physical swelling known as goiter. The simplest and most effective dietary intervention to reverse this condition is the universal introduction of iodized salt into the regional diet. While rural geography drives one set of pathologies, rapid urbanization in cities like Kampala drives another. The shift toward highly processed urban diets, combined with more sedentary lifestyles, places an immense strain directly on the pancreas. This strain leads to diabetes mellitus. As shown in this capillary animation, diabetes occurs when the pancreas fails to produce adequate insulin, or the target cells stop responding to it. The sugar remains trapped in the blood instead of entering the cells. The physiological symptoms resulting from this persistent high blood sugar include extreme thirst and frequent urination, as the body attempts to flush out the excess glucose. The required management strategy for diabetes demands strict dietary control, specifically focusing on carbohydrate management to avoid sharp spikes in blood sugar. Relying on accessible local foods with low glycemic impacts, like the matoke, cabbage, and leafy greens seen here, provides a highly practical tool for managing this balance. Geographical location and daily nutritional intake act as direct chemical inputs to our bodies. They actively determine whether our endocrine glands succeed or fail. Looking at the fundamental pathway of chemical coordination, we see a continuous loop. An endocrine gland secretes a hormone into the blood, which triggers a target organ response, all of which is stabilized by proper dietary support. Remember the strict examinable distinction. Hormones are ductless, systemic, and slow. Enzymes are localized, rapid biological catalysts. You must also recall the critical gland hormone pairings. The pituitary gland secretes growth hormone, the thyroid secretes thyroxine, the adrenals release adrenaline, and the pancreas produces insulin. Common diseases like goiter and diabetes occur as predictable mechanical breakdowns within this exact communication loop. The patient themselves plays a vital role in this system. External inputs can actively correct internal chemical failures. Conscious management of iodine intake for the thyroid and careful carbohydrate management for the pancreas are scientifically proven strategies to prevent and manage these disorders. Understanding this coordination system allows for the practical application of nutritional science, using targeted dietary inputs to stabilize the body's internal chemical environment.